My focus is on Zhiyi, T'ien T'ai of 6th century China, and his analysis of Buddha nature. And Buddha nature became very important in the later Tendai tradition. And it appears in Zhiyi's work in the 6th century, but it doesn't have the central kind of focus on that term that it takes on in the later tradition. But he, like with most terms, he gives a threefold analysis of it. There's Buddha nature as the way things are. There's Buddha nature as the wisdom of awareness. And there's Buddha wisdom as the practice which leads to the wisdom which sees reality as it is. And without those three factors, the Buddha nature, you can't talk about Buddha nature without those three aspects. So if you have Buddha nature without the practice, I mean, it doesn't make sense. So that's where the practice comes in, I think. And I like that formulation. It provides a way to understand Buddha nature without making it a kind of something that exists inside. It's a potential, but it's a potential that has to be realized through specific practices. And so,
why don't you say just a couple of sentences about what T'ien T'ai, Tendai is? What is T'ien T'ai? What is Tendai for people who may not know? Just to contextualize Zhiyi and this theory.
Okay, T'ien T'ai Buddhism is based on the work of the 6th century Chinese monk Zhiyi, who tried to. It's a kind of Catholic Buddhism. It tried to incorporate all the Buddhist teachings and practices so far that had come into China. There's so many different practices and teachings and it seemed contradictory. And he made this comprehensive system of practice and doctrine, which was kind of based on the Lotus Sutra's idea of upaya and ekayana. And that was the idea which allowed him to kind of organize all the practices and teachings in one system. This developed later in China, Korea, and Japan in interesting ways. The awakening of faith became very important later. And so the idea of original enlightenment and the Buddha nature of insentient beings, grasses and trees and mountains and rocks are also Buddha nature, was part of the Tendai tradition. I argue that it's not part of the original Tendai, but that's how it developed for most of East Asia. And then in Japan, this idea is taken to the extreme of everyone is enlightened just as they are. And there were a few people in Japanese Buddhism, Tendai, a monk named Hochibo Shoshin, who argued against this, saying, well, if we're okay as we are, then there's no meaning to practice, there's no incentive to practice, so he is critical of that. So it's not like it was accepted universally, but I think it's safe to say that, so the idea of Buddha nature as everyone has Buddha nature and they're already okay, enlightened as they are, became a kind of unspoken assumption to most of Japanese Buddhism.